It's Matt Drudge, 1-800-848-9222, 1-800-848-9222. So I'm getting a lot of the hate emails about me revealing that Tim Burton turns Abraham Lincoln into an ape in his upcoming movie, Planet of the Apes. Oh, that I'm giving it all away. Well, what exactly am I giving away except for the absurdity of what Burton is doing? You know, lighten up, people. See, this is as entertainment as religion. We still have that caller who was hot to trot on that. It says Scott in Dallas. Is he still on? Let's go for him. Scott in Dallas, you're on the air with Drudge. Hello, Scott. No, I don't hear that, so maybe he's not there. Let's try another one. Chris in New Jersey, line 4. You're on the air with Drudge. Hello, Chris.
Matt, hi.
Yeah, you're on the air. We're having trouble with our phones yet again tonight.
Okay, well, you mentioned the protesters being pinned in. Something similar happened to me in 1996 in New Brunswick, New Jersey. I was going to a protest against Bill Clinton, who was visiting Robert Wood Johnson Hospital there. And they kept us behind barricades about 2 blocks away from where he was entering the building. So he could barely see or hear us. There were several hundred of us.
Well, what is the protocol is you have to be within distance that they can hear you, except for, I guess, if they're running world summits.
Well, this was no world
and then in that case, they can keep you clear across on the other side of town.
Well, he could barely see or hear us, if at all. We were 2 or 3 blocks away.
It's getting worse. It's getting worse. And meanwhile, they say, oh, they're the nation's democracies and all the rest. That is a bunch of malarkey. You don't keep protesters that far away. And they say, oh, well, we can't have it there because the protesters will shut down the city. Well, then what do you do?
We weren't going to shut down the city.
Well, I know you weren't, but these global anti-globalization folk, they're hot to trot. They're out of control. They're going to shut down any city. They've got it so bad now they're going to the hills of Canada for the next one.
Right. Keep up the good work.
Well, thank you. But so I don't know what do you do when you've got so many protesters, when you've got tens of thousands who will close down a city for your summit, like they did in Seattle, and Miss Albright, who was couldn't quite get out there. She was blocked by somebody dressed as a sunflower or whatever it was. I don't know what they do. Because is it constitutionally correct to keep protesters so far away from where you're protesting? I guess it's an abortion clinic. I guess you're not allowed to do that anymore. All right, well, I'm assured the Planet of the Apes guy or Abraham Lincoln or one or the other is here. Line 3, you're on the air with Drudge Scott.
Hi, Matt. How are you?
You weren't there when we pressed you earlier.
No,
I guess you were...
Sir, I've been hanging on the line for an hour. I've been dying to talk to you.
You probably were spamming me online or something.
Well, no, sir. Let me explain to you, Matt. I'm going to start off with this. I am a fan of yours, Matt, and I appreciate your reporting, and I appreciate your honesty.
Have you followed how I have revealed controversial elements of films in the past?
Matt, I have... Wait a second. I haven't, but please, just hear me out, okay? What I found to be the epitome of obnoxiousness, Matt, okay, is that you as a journalist, I think, should at least...
That's a cuss word. Don't use that journalism word. That's a cuss word to me. I'm a reporter.
Okay, fine, Matt. You're
Dan
a reporter.
Rather's the journalist.
Fine. All right, Matt. But still, you know that millions of people hit your website. I was looking forward. Just listen to me, please. I was looking forward for the last 6 months to watch this movie. So I go on your website. There is not even a warning that should you want to watch the end, should you want to know the ending of the movie.
Hold on there. Hold on now. Listen to me. I didn't say it was the ending of the film. Where are you getting that from?
Matt, it's obvious. Matt, anybody who saw the original movie and you see how it ends with the Statue of Liberty, come on, Matt.
I didn't say it was the ending of the film. Now, you just did that. You just doing what you're accusing me of, and you just did it at 190 stations, coast to coast. I didn't do it,
Matt,
sir.
I want to tell you something, Matt.
My hands are clean.
What you did, as we say in Yiddish, is a shanda. And I got to tell you something, okay? You should know very well, everybody knows, okay, that the ending of the movie had something similarly to do with anybody that watched this movie in the first place in 1968 when it came out, knew that the ending had to do with the Statue of Liberty in Charlton Heston, okay? So for you to report it, you don't see that as being obnoxious? You don't see that as being the epitome of just of obnoxiousness?
Oh, you're one of these people who sits there when the trailer comes out, which, by the way, all of these Hollywood trailers, don't they give away much of all of it now? I mean, what are you accusing me of? I am not allowed. I should not sit here and report and tell this audience that one of its beloved leaders is turned into an ape by Rupert Murdoch. What are you saying?
What I am telling you, Matt, is that in your report...
You can't deal with somebody reporting something that isn't quite pushed through the entertainment propaganda machine. You're sitting here waiting for Mary Hart to put on her St. John and splash her perfume everywhere and tell you with a wink and a glank, or an Entertainment Tonight pumping its films out in a conveyor belt mentality, and you'll swallow the controversy on their timeline?
Matt, what you're missing is the point, and the point is this. If I ever wanted to... See, I have the option. What you did tonight, by showing this on the website, by reporting it in your show, let me tell you what's analogous to. It's, for example, when the Olympics were on tape delay, okay? I didn't want to see what the score was, all right? So you know what I did? I turned it off, and in fact, they gave you the option. They said, if you don't want to hear the score, please turn off your set or walk away for a moment. How can you, as a reporter, I mean, do you get joy out of ruining something?
Out of ruining your day, yes. I would get great joy out of it. You realize what a fool you are making out of yourself. I am sitting here reporting, and I think many of this audience would like to know that Abraham Lincoln has turned into an ape.
No, actually, I think a lot of people...
You don't think this audience would be curious to know that Tim Burton has turned a president who was assassinated, who is a beloved figure, into an ape?
Hey, Matt, let me tell you something, okay? I'm a Republican, okay? And I am just as much for... and I understand... I may understand briefly, but your point. But for Christ's sakes, Matt, it's a
no,
movie.
but entertainment is the rule of law. The entertainment world is the hierarchy, is the Pope. Tim Burton is a saint.
Matt, it's a movie, and for you...
Oh, well, yes, and you should get a grip of it, because all it is a movie,
so
and I didn't give away anything.
Wait a second, I am getting a grip, and I'm having an intelligent conversation with you, okay? And I'm telling you, I am not giving you verbal diatribe, so please, don't tell me, don't start getting on my case. I am just making a point as this. I am an avid moviegoer, okay? I enjoy going to a movie. You, as a reporter, have a responsibility to your public, and that is, if they don't want to know what the ending is, then you have a duty to tell them, you know what, I know the ending, I think I know what the ending is, and if you don't want to hear, turn off your radio. But you didn't even give me that option. Instead, I go on your website, and it's blasted across the website. How can you do that?
And that was the end of his call. Well, they are really wound up tonight. It took some talk in Hollywood to get them wound up. Can you believe the energy and the fuss and the commotion over our entertainment? The craziness. Entertainment as religion. I tell you, the Savior would have come back to earth, and they wouldn't have been that wound up. He would have been given a 3-minute warning. Putin got up with Zaman Yan, and they wouldn't have been that wound up. India would have declared on Pakistan. Israel would have moved into Gaza with all the tanks and troops again. He wouldn't have been that wound up. But you start talking about Baloney Boulevard, and you start talking about a buffoon named Burton who was turning a Honest Abe into a hairy ape. And they say, oh, Drudge is the bad guy. See, he could not address my issue on what do you think of Hollywood now mocking yet another American hero. Can't deal with it. So I am the bad guy for pointing this out, revealing nothing of plot except for that one little twist, not saying where it comes. And he says anybody knows anything knows it's the end. So he already knew it anyway, so what's the big deal? See, too much time in Dallas, way too much time. Too many DVDs piled up to the ceilings, too many CDs unplayed. Too many videotapes of how many episodes of Friends that you haven't watched. That's the consumer. That is the sound of the consumer. And you attack something or you reveal something outside of their timeline, unsanctioned by the support press. Rupert Murdoch does not appreciate I'm doing this tonight. I didn't get to break it on a Fox News or a New York Post or any other TV Guide or any other sanctioned outlets with their drip, drip, drip of publicity designed to create audience and buzz. This is a little contrarian energy here tonight. And there's a price to pay. He couldn't even breathe. He could not even breathe. Maybe the apes are onto something. Entertainment Weekly didn't report it yet. Furious. Absolutely furious was that caller. Well, so be it. I hate to tell him, Jurassic Park 3, there's dinosaurs on the park, sir. Oh, you hate me for that, too. Line 6, Daniel Austin, you're on the air with Drudge.
Hello?
Hello, you're on the air.
Hello, Mr. Drudge. I would like to comment 2 things to you about your coverage of Planet of the Apes.
Yes, get it going. Here we go.
The first is short, and I hope you can just agree to disagree so I can move on to the second bigger point.
Yeah, so agree to disagree.
Okay, the first is just that I find it appalling that you refuse to acknowledge that you basically ruined the movie for a lot of people.
Well, how did I, by revealing that Tim Burton is turning Abraham Lincoln into an ape, do anything?
I want to argue about. I want to argue about your deification of Abraham Lincoln. I find it absolutely absurd and disgusting that you would deify this man, a man who today would be judged as a socialist, a man who had reporters locked up and held without trial for the duration of the Civil War, a man who, had he not been assassinated, would have been considered America's Stalin by today's standards. And you deify this person and just get very upset at anybody that would dare put him in anything other than the light of God himself. I am disgusted by this, and I hope I hope other listeners are too.
Now, I think he was turning into an ape on the phone. A lot of weirdness tonight. Tim Burton, if that's you, knock it off. We've had enough now. That's 2 in a row. Knock it off. Got enough buzz going around the film. See, I expect 100 million roses for Murdoch in the morning for this. Any of these films, are they a hit? Of course not. The film that deserved to be a hit was this AI, and look at that. They can't even crack that to 100 million. Gone are the days Spielberg makes 100 million, and you watch, Minority Report probably stinks too. Line 5, George, Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. You're on the air with Drudge.
Hi, Matt. I, of course, couldn't even hope to approach the importance of the sacredness of a movie ending.
And I didn't say it was the ending. He said it was the ending.
Well, still one of the best-kept secrets is that as soon as next Tuesday is going to take place the permanent normal trade relations vote for Commie China. And, of course, you heard of this Chinese communist military doctor just defected, said he was in a position of having to strip the skin for transplant off.
I've been linking to that one. Coming the new Olympic souvenir for 08 is stripped skin.
If you'd like, for all the cheapskates out there, I'll give out the toll-free to the Capitol Hill switchboard. It's vital everyone call. And go on and on with them. Don't just say vote down. Mention that Chinese military doctor, the short and long-term security interest.
I would say I'm good and well, and I'm fine with the Olympics and NBC. And I say maybe we should start a little boycott and all the rest. But let's make Harry Wu, the guy that they had locked up, the guy that was in prison for all those years, hard labor. Let's make Harry Wu sit next to a Bob Costas. That should be the trade-off for our support, for some fairness. I was looking, one of the stories I linked this weekend was China clamped down on 8,000 net cafes. They don't like their populace reading the internet. I wonder why. Maybe some of those pictures of those Falun Gong, maybe some of the copy outside of the communist control. They don't quite like that. See, information power. So they're going to try to stop that right away. China orders clampdown on 8,000 net cafes. So they only take it so far. Their Western slants, the hipness of it all. They only take it so far. When it comes to information and freedom and liberty, they'll clamp down on that right away. 404. Cannot reach. Socket error. Or if you're the D.C. police, maybe they'll broadcast what websites you've been to. All right, let's see who else we've got here. Line 4, Richard, North Carolina. You're on the air with Drudge.
Hi.
Hello, thanks for calling.
Yeah, how you doing?
Okay.
All right. All I was going to say is I appreciate your show. And my young son is afraid to get on with you because you're so harsh on most of your callers. How do you think about that?
Line 3, Bill in Youngstown. You're on the air with Drudge.
Hello?
Hello, Bill. You're on the air.
Hi, Matt. Two things. First of all, I want to applaud you for exposing a stupid ending of a stupid movie, and I just can't. I think those types of callers, the ambulance candidate and the one that doesn't like Lincoln, are just wannabes. The reason I called...